Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Insurance Toolkits. We have some special guests on today, so I'm going to let Mr. Peter introduce himself here.
Hi, how's it going, everyone? I'm Peter Walker. I'm the Director of Medicare for Innovative Financial Group. I've actually worked with Chris Smith for a number of years now. We've known each other for 4 or 5 years. And, you know, I started in final expense, ended up in Medicare, and now I'm kind of the head of the division for Innovative Financial Group. For those that don't know, we're a big player in the space. We started 2-3 years ago. This year we're on track to do about 175,000 lives. So just massive growth. Most of that is on with final expense agents that have transitioned into selling Medicare. And again, it's just a no-brainer once you look at the numbers.
Definitely, for sure. I was always kind of curious. That kind of caught my attention there at the beginning. What was that transition like from final expense to Medicare? What was there a specific indicator, like what that transition going over? Were you cross-selling a lot and you realized that there was more to play with in the Medicare space, or how did that kind of look?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. So in hindsight, I kind of wish that I had transitioned a little bit quicker. I started in final expense at the end of 2015. I got my license, so I really started taking leads in 2016. And I think any final expense agent that gets out in the field, gets in front of a lot of people, you run into this, where the customer thinks it's about their healthcare. So I was running into a lot of that, and it kind of got me thinking, like, maybe I should look at that, because obviously you sit down, you have rapport with people, you feel like you've got a sale made, you get down to brass tacks, and it's not you, it's not the product. They love you, they love the product, they love everything, but they just don't have the money. So, I just decided at that stage, it's time for me to take a deeper dive into this. I specifically held back until the end of my first year. So I didn't do anything until the following January. In December, I sat down, I took the AHIP, I got my health license because I was only life licensed at the time, and then hit the ground running that following January and just absolutely blew it up. Couldn't find anyone to train me. That was my biggest issue at the time. This really was not a thing. There may have been one or two people doing this, but we were all so focused on filing expense. I was a lot like Chris, just running 10, 12 appointments a day, writing 15 to 20 apps a week, doing a lot of final expense. I was very, very focused on it. But again, when I finally figured it out, the transition was pretty rapid.
Colton, are we having connection issues, or am I just like entering a strange alternate reality where everything freezes every 2 minutes?
You actually froze out for me, Chris. I don't know. Colton, did you hear everything I had to say?
Yeah, I heard everything fine. I think.
Good. Just making sure. I definitely entered the Twilight Zone then, so I'm good. As long as everybody else is still on Earth, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, buddy.
So I got one for you, Peter. Just for the basics, since we understood the reason why somebody would do it and what kind of agents might look to do it, how does someone become Medicare ready? Like, how do they get ready to be able to actually go in the home, enroll somebody? What steps do they need to follow to do so?
Yeah, I mean, it really is simple, Chris. I mean, obviously, outside of having your health license, right? That's key. That's step number one. You have to be health licensed to be able to show these products. But it's quite simple. All the carriers, there's a certification called the AHIP, which you might have heard about. It's America's Health Insurance Plans. They've got a course that you take. It's $175. But anytime you go and get an appointment with a carrier, let's say you go to Humana and you get the Humana appointment, part of their training regimen is an external link to the AHIP. And so if you link to the AHIP from Humana or Aetna or UHC or whoever it is, they'll apply a $50 discount. So once you do that AHIP one time, that's good. You can actually transfer that certificate to any and all carriers in the United States. They'll accept that. That is all you need to do to get ready. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The first time you do the AHIP, it is tough. There's no question about it. But it's tough in the sense that you can sit down, study, and knock it out in one day. And again, I would just say the first time you do it, is the time that you should really knuckle down and really try to learn everything there is about it. There's a bunch of practice tests while you're doing it. There's 5 modules. You can run those tests as many times as you like. If you get to the point where you're passing each module, you'll almost be guaranteed to pass the final exam. You have 3 attempts to pass the AM. You've got to get a 90% or higher. But I think today they even allow you to buy a second batch of tests. So you could ostensibly do it 6 times to get through. But 3 times is normally enough for most folks.
And did you see that certification? Oh, sorry, Chris.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you see that certification kind of transition to higher business output? Were you seeing more life being protected? Like, how did that? Were you able to do that?
There's no question. Like, hands down, right? When I run into somebody in the house as a final expense agent, there's no question. A lot of these folks, the thing that's eating up their income is the cost of their medication. So when I run into that, so now when I'm sitting at the table and I'm like, Mary, please go grab all your meds, right? I used to just, I'm a lot like Chris, like, just tell me about your medications. They go through it. Okay, I'm on Ropinirole. Do you have restless leg or do you have Parkinson's? All right. I'm on furosemide, 60 milligrams. I've been diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I'm kind of doing that diagnosis in my head to know where I can place them. But now, more importantly, when they bring out a laundry list of medications, the question that I ask him is, these meds must cost you a fortune. Are you having trouble paying for them? It's either yes or no, right? They're on Medicaid. They pay very little to nothing for their medications, or they could be paying a fortune. If they're paying a fortune, I make it very clear that, look, remind me at the end of our discussion today, one of the things that I do to help folks like you is I look to see if you qualify for some of the programs that are available to you on the federal and state level, right? And in many of those cases, you can save them a significant amount of money. I'm talking about thousands of dollars a year. So if that doesn't translate into additional final expense sales, you're doing something wrong.
So I got a good parlay on that one. You're talking about saving the potential client money on their medicines. How about helping the agent become more profitable through cross-selling? Because the industry is getting more expensive via lead costs, operating costs, so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Talk to a final expense agent about why cross-selling helps lower his lead costs and increases his premium or his profitability per presentation.
Yeah, well, so really simply, if you just look at the numbers, right? So first and foremost, the final expense lead that you guys are running, it's the exact same clientele that you would run to get into Medicare Advantage. It's the exact same age group. It's the lower income spectrum, right? So it's not like you're running mortgage protection and final expense, which are, generally speaking, 2 different income levels. Agreed, right? Income and age levels. These are hand in hand. It's the same lead, same person, same deal. So, what I tell an agent, even if you're not interested in like really getting into Medicare, if you're running 30, 40 leads a week, like that's what, I mean, Chris, I'm assuming you're still suggesting somebody runs 30 to 40 a week, right? So you can get a decent number of appointments. If you're running that, you should fall into 2 policies a week on Medicare. So 2 policies a week, just in round numbers to make it simple for you guys, is 100 policies a year, right? 50 weeks, 2 policies a week, 100 policies a year. If you get 100 policies this year, and let's say all of them renew, we know that probably 80% are going to renew, but 100 policies this next year, it's about $300 per policy per year renewal. So just doing 2 extra sales a year is going to get you $30,000 in renewals the following year. And by the way, that renews for life. So you can apply that 30 grand, or let's say you do 1 policy a week, that's 15 grand in renewals. I'm sorry, I don't care if you're doing $300,000 in final expense, you're not going to be making 15 grand in renewals next year. Or it may be close, but now you're selling 20 policies a week in order to make 15 grand renewals, where I'm telling you, you can do it with 1 policy. So when you combine the 2 of them together, it's an absolute no-brainer. So you're getting, the other factor is when you sell somebody two things together, right? The more hooks you have in somebody, the more persistent all the business becomes.
Absolutely. So on that note, Now we understand how to do it and why to do it. Who takes the time to get prepared for a who has an existing book of business, what expectation enrollments he or she could do during AEP?
So yeah, I mean, that's very easy, right? So if somebody's in your book of business, you can legally reach out to them, right? You can't legally go and door knock somebody on a Medicare leave, but you can certainly reach out to your client. So anyone that's been doing final expense for a year or more should have 200 to 500 clients, right, on the books. Reaching out to those folks and merely just saying to them, listen, Mary, I've added, you've been my client for 2 years. I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm now doing Medicare, and as a free service to you, I can come by and review what you currently have and see if there's any savings or programs that I can help you with to put more money back in your pocket. Again, nothing I'm talking about here is going to cost you any money. I'm not looking for your checkbook. You can go hide that in the safe. I don't need your credit card. I want to help my clients make ends meet. Again, look at the economy, right? Everyone's looking to save some money. So I would say even if you have 200 clients, you should be able to go and sell at least 10 to 20% of those a Medicare policy. Again, it's subjective to where you are in the country, right? Like Philadelphia, you've got 800 plans available. So obviously the more plans you have, the less likely it is that that individual is going to be in the right place, right? So some rural counties, there's 2 plans. They're either in the right plan or they're in the wrong plan. I mean, you've got a 50% shot. So more, the largest cities and metropolitan areas, you're going to have more luck, which is what most of us work.
Perfect. So 20 to 50 plans reasonably on a full-time. They put up 50 plans during AEP. What's that look like income-wise for them come January?
Okay, so AEP, like I said, this year I think it's 301 per policy. So 50 plans, you're going to get a check for 15 grand around the middle of January. That's a great way to start. That's a great way to start your year, right? I mean, if you're doing $1,500 a week in lead costs, there you go. You got weeks already paid for just going into the year. And we all know how January sucks, right? It's a reset. We're starting over again in final expense. We're not starting over again in Medicare.
Colton, I like $15,000. Do you like $15,000?
Yeah, starting off the year, I think that's a big little boost. Especially like you said, Chris, with lead costs going through the roof. That's a big reason why most agents get out of the business. They just simply can't afford to keep the persistency. They just can't afford to maintain the day-to-day. So I think that a simple cross-selling and clients that you're already meeting with is a no-brainer, like you said. Well,
here's the other thing, Colton. I mean, you have another bite of the apple, right? How many times, even if you're running only Medicare leads, like if I'm running Medicare leads and I do 20 appointments, maybe 10 of those people are going to be on the right plan, right? I do right by the client. If I cannot put them in a better place, I'm not going to change their plan, right? But now, while I'm in the house, guess what? I'm a final expense guy. I can talk about hospital indemnity. I can talk about all these other ancillary products that I might be able to present to them. So these houses where they're not interested, like I thought this was about health. Okay, well, it could be about health, right? Now there's little specifics about what you can do in a final expense appointment. You can't sell the 2 products on the same day, but it gives you the opportunity. Where I used to walk out that first year when I wasn't doing Medicare, somebody would give me a hard time. I'd roll up the lead and throw it in the trash, right? It was money gone. $35 gone, like that. Now I've got another opportunity. Look, okay, I understand you don't want your final expense policy, but how about I look to see if you qualify for one of the new state or federal programs that's designed to put money in your pocket and it doesn't cost you anything. How does that sound, right? When I'm knocking on the door on a final expense appointment, I'm here because you filled this card out, right? I'm the person in your area that's being told to come out and see you about it. Also, what I do when I'm in there with you is I look to see if you qualify for one of these state or federal programs that's designed to put money in your pocket, and that doesn't cost you anything. It just gives you one extra little bit of opportunity to get in that door. And people read that as free. We can't use the word free in Medicare, but when you're telling me that you can save me money, it doesn't cost me anything, to me, that's free money. So Free money gets you indoors.
Yeah, I find interesting ancillary products too. Maybe we can take 60 seconds on that.
Sure.
Final expense agents would say to me they can barely afford their $50 premium. How would they possibly buy anything else? But what we don't realize is the ancillary products, these people see a whole different value in. Something they're going to use. It's living benefits in real life. They're actually going to use these benefits. And I had, when you got me to get my health license and I started to actually play around with these products, the first lady I ever sold a cancer plan to, I knew she'd buy anything I sold her, so she'd be a good practice client. But it wasn't like I was manipulating her. She actually saw a value in it. And then when she bought it, ironically, Peter, she got cancer. And that little $17 a month, $5,000 cancer plan paid a cash benefit to her when she got cancer. And it took the whole thing to real life. It's not just an ancillary product. It's a real life benefit these folks will use, and they're willing to purchase because they know they may use them.
Here's a fact, right? So on cancer plans alone, 50% of males and 1/3 of females will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So you got a 50-50 chance on that cancer plan to get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 check, which goes a hell of a long way, right? And then when you look at things like hospital indemnities, and not to get into the details on a Medicare plan, but Medicare Advantage in particular looks a lot like traditional health insurance, where you have a premium, you have a max out of pocket, you've got co-pays, co-insurance when you go into the hospital, all that stuff. There are products designed to fill those gaps that are extremely inexpensive. And, just talking to people, you'll find that putting them on those products can help them. And, the additional benefits that these Medicare Advantage plans are now offering these days, like food cards, there are places where you're getting $150 a month to pay towards food. That's the same as cash, guys, right? $150 a month that you don't have to pull out of your pocket. Guess what you can put that towards? Take $50 of that, you keep the other 100, and you're better off than when I came through this door. There's over-the-counter catalogs they can order out of. There's all kinds of benefits. In fact, some of the dual special needs plans will even help you pay for energy costs, gas. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's only another. I always looked at it like, for final expense agents who just don't even want to look into the ancillary space or Medicare space. It's when you go into a home and you're selling a final expense product, I always like to look at it as you're kind of leaving the knot a little bit untied. And when you double down, you get that Medicare sale as well. You're kind of tying off that knot. You're kind of locking it in a little more. You're going to see a lot less of your business fall off. We see a lot of agents, especially year one. Some are losing 30, 40, 50% of their business in the first year, and they just can't handle that chargeback. That's just too much, to be sustainable for a brand new agent. So I think that combination, I think cross-selling is so underlooked and undervalued. But I think it's a huge benefit, especially for new agents don't be scared. Learn a little bit about Medicare. Go directly to Peter himself. Do what you got to do to learn and be the best you can, because the more value that you're bringing to your clients and the longer, the greater the lifetime value, the overall bigger benefit you're going to see anyways.
You'll never get a final expense a final expense client hugging you and bursting into tears. You'll get that all the time with Medicare. And I'm not kidding. I mean, Chris has seen it in a house. Like, some of these houses I'm walking out of, I'm saving $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year. That's not game changing. That's life changing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, that product doesn't cost anything. So it's not a sale. It's a consultation. You're helping somebody. You're doing something really good for somebody. So when you put that in combination with your final expense policy, you're going to get a lot more stickiness on your business. And guess what you're going to get? When you save somebody a couple grand, $3,000, $4,000 a year, you don't think you're going to get referrals, mate? You'll get as many referrals as you ask for. Like, I just put $2,000 in your pocket. Is there anyone, family members, friends, that could use money? Who couldn't use more? I could use more money, right? So it's very easy to ask for a referral. Whereas in final expense, maybe it's just me, I was terrible at getting referrals.
I think one point I want to throw out there, and then I'll ask Peter a real good question, is It doesn't have to be complicated. For generally the most amount of time I've been doing Medicare, I've been doing Medicare with one carrier. I get my AHIP, I do my Signet certifications, and I take the lowest of the lowest hanging fruit. Somebody who's a dual that's not enrolled in anything, somebody who's recently turning 65, somebody who has an outdated plan that's never been updated. You don't have to get contracted with 82 different Medicare carriers, worry about 52 different platforms for enrollment. You really just have to start off simple and then realize how simple the concept is and how you can benefit the clients you're already selling on a regular basis. So if you're thinking to yourself, there's no way I have the time to possibly pick up more carrier contracts and do all these certifications. I'm out running leads. Get your AHIP done. Figure out what the most competitive big market plan is in your market. Get set up and talk to the people you're already talking to and make an extra 15 to 30 grand a year. It's almost inexcusable not to. Peter, talk to an agent as we get close to wrapping up at our 30-minute mark who's struggling in the industry and who really wants to quit, because you've been an agent, you've been an agency owner, you've been a C-suite executive, you've been every person in the business. You understand from every single perspective. So talk to an agent who wants to give up right now about why they shouldn't.
Well, I mean, listen, I think you have to be, whether it's insurance or any other business that you're in, you have to be honest with yourself, right? If you're not seeing success, you have to really look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Did you buy leads? Did you get out of the house at 8 o'clock or 7:30 every morning and come back in at 6 after a long day's work? Did you go knock on all those doors? Did you go and sit with all those people? Did you, reach out to your mentors to find out why you're not closing? Have you had somebody listen to your presentations? If you're doing all those things, then there's almost no way for you to fail, right? So if you're failing out of the business, I can guarantee you 99% of the time, it's something that you are not doing, and you have to be responsible to yourself. So then if you figure that out, okay, it's me, it's not Chris, it's not Colton, it's not the IMO, it's not everybody else, because that's what agents love to do. It's not the crappy leads, it's none of that stuff. It's activity. I mean, a pure, simple activity. And that, again, goes for any business that you get yourself in. If you're out there being active, you will generate the business. Now, the key from being a agent that's surviving to an agent that's thriving is giving yourself more opportunities to make sales. That always, and in fact, 99% of the time, I'm saying there's 1% of agents that somehow can create leads out of thin air. I don't know how they do it, but that always is the way to do it. Like, you want success. I do, when I looked at the final expense industry, I wrote 350,000 in my first year from nothing. Like, I came in with no knowledge about the industry, and I did it purely by brute force. I said, okay, how many leads is it going to take me to fill my schedule? I've got a funny accent, so on the phone, people are thinking I'm calling from overseas. I hired an appointment setter, and I gave her leads, and I kept adding to those leads until I filled the schedule that I wanted to work, which in my case was about 60 hours a week. I wanted appointments. I started with 30 leads. I quickly moved to 40 leads. And finally, I found the sweet spot for me was 50 direct mail leads a week. I did that over 10 to 12 counties, and I drove my ass off. It was like 60,000 miles in that first year to do the business. But guess what? I had opportunities. I had sales opportunities all the time. And because I'm sitting talking to so many people, I honed my skill and I honed my knowledge on the drugs, on the underwriting and all that stuff, which, by the way, you don't have to do these days with the tool that you boys have put together, which is something incredible. But that's it. It is so simple. If you're failing, it's on you. I guarantee you. It's as simple as that. And I know that sounds mean, but maybe you're just not cut out for sales. My wife isn't cut out for sales. She would just never, she'd be starving and still wouldn't be able to do it. She's just not a salesperson. So, maybe that's what it is. And again, you just have to look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm not a salesperson. By the way, you can be not a salesperson and still succeed in Medicare because you're not asking for the sale. It's a different thing. I'll just add one more thing, Chris, just on the toolkit thing. We have a tool called Sunfire. So there is no underwriting in Medicare Advantage in particular. Okay, so don't think that you're going to this massive vertical, you're going to have to learn all this stuff now. It is not that difficult. It's purely asking a series of questions putting it into the tool, and the tool goes, boop, here are your 3 options. Which one do you want? And there's a green enroll button next to each one. And the enrollment takes 2 minutes. And that's how simple it is. So, Chris, sorry to kind of, get off the answer there, but do you agree with me on the activity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important for people to recognize that the easiest excuses are typically not the reason. It's not your upline, it's not your IMO, it's probably not the leads because you're probably not buying them. It's not your products. It really doesn't matter what you sell, because you could sell the worst competitive product, but people make plenty of money doing it. It's probably a you problem. Your activity, your efforts, your honesty with yourself, and then your investment in your business, so on and so forth. And then you made the perfect transition point to talking about Medicare and the fact that there's no advanced product knowledge to learn. It's a simple process. It's a simple enrollment, and it's a simple way for you to increase your profitability, help your clients, and be a more well-rounded person.
Yeah, I think that's the it can't be me mentality needs to get kind of knocked away. Oh, it can't be me. I can't be the problem. But most of the time it is. There's no problem in business that more clients can't solve. And if you want to get more clients, you have to look at yourself. Like you said, I think that's it's like you said, it could be a little hurtful, but it's the truth. Look yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. What am I not doing? And most agents, and you guys may agree, are oftentimes aware that they're not doing enough. They just don't do it. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. It's like, I know what I should be doing, but I'm just not disciplined enough to do it. And then it just inevitably leads them to get out of the business.
Do you know how I know that's true, Colton? Because I've been there. I've been there in periods of my life where I look back and I'm not having success. And I'm honest with myself, and like, you're being a lazy POS, right? And I tell myself, get out of bed, get out of your head, get busy, get active. We've all been there. I don't know of a person that hasn't gone through a phase where they're down on themselves, they're down in the dumps. We've all been there. And the beauty of final, and I love final expense. I mean, it's still, to this day, I absolutely love final expense. You can get a list of names from Chris, from Colton, from me, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year-old leads, and just get out there and knock on doors and speak to people with zero budget. Like, as long as you have enough money for gas in your car, you will make money. You should be making $2-3 grand a week. You could do that on 10-year-old leads. You're gonna meet people. If you put in that effort, you'll succeed. So not having money is not an excuse. Now, having money puts that business on absolute overdrive. And that's why I say, eat ramen noodles for 6 months if you have to. Take every penny you make and invest it back in your business. Diversify a little bit once you have your knowledge down on final expense. Don't try to do Medicare or any other product until you got the final expense down. You've got to know your business. And when you're totally confident with that, that's when you add one more line of business, and you will see your business absolutely go through the roof.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's really hit the nail on the head there. I think that might be a good closing point, unless you have anything else, Chris, you wanted to add in there.
No, I think that's perfect. Make sure, if you guys are watching this video, you like the video. I think that's, as my kids would say, you comment on the video below. YouTube appreciates that. And for the love of God, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching, hit the subscribe button as well. Peter, close us out by, again, reminding folks who you are, who you work with, and if they needed to get in contact with you because they like what they heard today, how to be able to reach out to you.
Sure thing. Yeah. I'm Peter Walker. I'm the president of Medicare for Innovative Financial Group. You can reach me at pwalker@teamifg.com, or even just call me directly on my cell phone. That's the phone that I use. I travel 200 to 250 days a year, so I'm always on the road. But you can reach directly out to me at 818-201-6979. I'm happy to talk to people about strategy, about direction, what you want to do out of your life. Really, I think something that's really important to get into, and maybe it's a topic for another day, Chris, is a 3 to 5 year plan, right? And with Medicare, you can really plan that out. Like, I'm going to do 100 people a year for 5 years. What kind of income am I going to look like? I'm telling you, it's a lot. It's in the 6 figures, right? Multi 6 figures. And that's a crappy age. So If this is something that's exciting to you and you want to talk about it, again, reach out to me, pwalker@teamifg.com. More than happy to speak to anybody.
Well said. Well said.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate you guys joining today. Peter, it was incredible meeting you, and definitely think that we've got a lot of value.
buddy.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Cheers, guys.